Hello, my name is Mark Troyer and I'm the Senior Director of the Solutions Consulting Team in the EMEA region at LastPass. Welcome to this micro demonstration focused on the LastPass end user experience. In this demonstration, we'll show you how to set up and use the Apple iOS LastPass app. We'll start off by installing and configuring the LastPass app from the Apple App Store. Following this, we'll log into our secure LastPass vault. We'll then demonstrate how to use the autofill feature for both iOS apps and websites through the Safari browser. And finally, we'll register on a new e-commerce website with a random password and save the credentials in our vault. Let's go ahead and get started. To begin, let's open up the Apple App Store and search for the LastPass application. As we can see, there are two applications. In this case, we want the LastPass Password Manager. The current release is 5.16.0 as of mid-August 2022. Once we have installed the LastPass Password Manager application onto our iOS device, in my case it happens to be an iPad, we'll need to make two iOS settings changes to our system. These changes will set LastPass as the default and only password manager, as well as enabling the LastPass Safari browser extension. To do this, we will open up our iOS settings page and scroll down to the password menu option and select. We will then click on the autofill passwords option. In this case, we only want LastPass to be used, so we will untick the keychain option and then we can move back one level. With this completed, we have one final iOS configuration step, which is under the Safari menu option and then under the Extensions submenu. At this point, we can see that the LastPass extension is installed in Safari, but it is not enabled. We will enable it by clicking on the slider and then click on the All Websites option and change it to Allow. At this point, the LastPass application is installed and the iOS settings are properly configured. With everything set up, let's start up LastPass and log into our LastPass business account. In this case, our account is federated, so once we enter in our email address, the password field will disappear and we can log in automatically as this iPad is already authenticated through our identity provider. As we can see, we are now looking at our secure LastPass vault and we can see 4 items. If we click on one of them, we can see the same options that are presented when we are using LastPass on our Windows PC or a Mac. So we are now logged into LastPass. Let's start up the iOS application and test the autofill feature. In this case, we'll start up the Dropbox application. Once we place focus on the email field, we will be prompted to use our credentials from LastPass. And in this case, we will need to touch the fingerprint authentication with Touch ID. Once this is done, my email address and password will be autofilled and I will be signed into the Dropbox application. Now let's go into the Safari browser and log into the same Dropbox.com website using autofill. Once we enter the page, we can see that LastPass has automatically autofilled the email and passwords field. We can simply sign in. So we have demonstrated how easy it is to sign into both iOS apps and websites from the Safari browser. What about creating random passwords and saving credential items? Well, let's suppose that we would like to purchase a drone for some aerial photography from DJI.com, but I do not yet have an account. Let's create a new account with a random password and save it into our vault. So let's open up the registration page for DJI.com. We will first fill in our username, which is joeb@gmail.com. And once this is completed, LastPass will prompt us with a random password. We simply click on the password and we see that both password fields are now completed. We are now presented with a CAPTCHA tool to verify that we are not a robot. And now we can submit our registration, which was successful. LastPass will then immediately prompt us to save these newly created credentials into our vault. With this done, we can now automatically log into the DJI.com website through LastPass on any of our devices without having to enter any credentials. We can also see that this password credential is now in our secure vault. Well, that brings us to the end of this micro demonstration on the Apple iOS LastPass app. In this short demonstration, we installed and configured the Apple iOS LastPass app, and then we showed the autofill feature for both iOS apps and then for websites accessed through the Safari browser. Finally, we created a random password on a website registration page and saved the credential in our secure LastPass vault. Please watch our other micro demonstration videos to learn how to share a vault item with other LastPass users and the many other features that are available in LastPass Business. This is Mark Schroyer, and this marks the end of this short micro demonstration.